Every morning, sometime between 5 and 11 a.m., we release our Central Indiana Scoreboard Show. It's our flagship podcast and it's similar to ESPN Radio Sports Center, except for we focus on the Pacers, Fever, Colts, IndyCar, IU, Purdue, Ball State, major national sporting events, and, of course, the best high school sports coverage in all of Central Indiana. Right now, you are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 283.3, our IndyCar reaction from Detroit with Dave Chanley and guest Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, IndyCar fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and our reaction to the race in Detroit with our IndyCar guy, Dave Chanley. And Dave, I think you can certainly say that Kyle Kirkwood's been the second best this year in the series.
No question about that. He was strong all weekend and deserved the win today. I think there are several storylines we can talk about, but Kirkwood was the strong car and Herta was the strong car, and Herta had a great weekend as well. But I'm going to take my hat off to Santino Ferrucci from 21 to second. And that is just a phenomenal. I think I texted you during the race and said at about lap 67, I think is when the caution came out, 66, and I said, the man on Pato's stand should be fired because I was yelling 2 laps before, go in to the pits in case there's a yellow.
That's right.
And of course he didn't. And Ferrucci and Simpson and Armstrong did, and look at their result.
Yeah, on a road course, it's different than an oval. You need to pit as soon as you can on your final pit in case that happens.
Exactly.
Your final pit stop in case that happens.
Exactly.
The sooner the better.
Yeah, the sooner the better. And they were all hanging out there, and they could have all come in. And I'm like, why are they all hanging out there just to try to get a couple more laps? And I guess it was to just say, well, we can have just a little bit shorter pit. But that's not going to be a factor if there's a yellow.
That's right. That's right. They gambled and they lost. And we welcome now Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader. And Michelle, we were just talking about Kyle Kirkwood. I don't remember in our pre-race text chat who picked Kyle Kirkwood to win.
I believe you did, Greg.
That's right.
Texted there then and said, "Good job, Greg, predicting race winner."
He was clearly the best yesterday in qualifying. He was 4/10 of a second faster than everybody else, and then something went wrong on his one run, which is why you should always plan on 2 laps, by the way. They all did one flying lap, and you should always plan on 2 in case something goes wrong on the lap. He ended up starting third and was clearly the best car all weekend. And like before you got here, Michelle, we were saying, clearly they've been the second best driver this season.
Oh, yes. I mean, he ran a wonderful race today. After he had the damage to the left wing, you just wondered how much that was going to cost him or hurt him, especially once they had the late yellow.
Especially on that restart, right?
Yeah, but you know what? He had one of the best restarts I think I've seen in a while. He got slowed it down, got a nice run going, and to where he didn't give anybody a chance to kind of really push him off his line.
And again, you talked about Santino Ferrucci, but I just want to talk about Foyt Racing here, Dave. Man, what an impressive start to the season for the team that for, a decade and a half has been almost clearly the worst team in all of IndyCar. And they are, this year, after Ganassi, probably number 2.
They're a factor. They are a factor.
And good drivers.
two good drivers, two exceptionally good drivers. And it was too bad Malukas got into the back of Palou, but it didn't hurt anybody's feelings as far as the point standings go. But
No,
it
it did
definitely no. But he would have had he would have probably been fifth, sixth. So he cost himself there. But Malukas is a fabulous driver, and Ferrucci is just all hats off to him. And he did a great job of getting back around Power after the restart. And I think Power struggled there. He must have tapped the wall and lost balance for a little while.
I just don't think the Penske's are. I just don't think the Penske's are quite up to speed. He kind of got there through strategy, not through being faster than everybody. And Malukas and Ferrucci were just better than he was, I thought.
Yeah,
not Malukas. Sorry. Herta.
Yeah,
Herta. And Ferrucci were just better than he was.
Yeah, I think Herta was a little frustrated, but still, a third-place finish is nothing to be sneezed at. To start on the pole, I think if I could start on the pole and finish third just about every race, I'd say, I'll take that. That's pretty impressive. And it was great for Andretti Motorsports, Andretti Global, because after last weekend, they needed something.
Yes, they did. Yeah, so did Penske, and they didn't get it.
And they're
still looking for answers.
And you wonder how, with the penalties, and then they were forced. I mean, they had to shake up their operations. So now it makes you wonder just how long it's going to take everybody there with the new roles, with the drivers, crew chiefs, and all of that to gel and be able to, really connect.
That's a good point, because the races come pretty quick now. Every 2 weeks, it seems like there's going to be a race, and you better get your act together, or people are going to go by you. I do want to, at some point, comment, this is the negative. I'm going to be the Davy Downer right here. But I don't know if everybody else, but Fox deserves a big fat F on this one.
Well, I wouldn't give him an F because the two color guys are so good. But yes, poor performance by Fox.
Yeah, that just blew me away at the start. And Hinchcliffe, he's knowledgeable, he's good, he's perceptive, he's really good. Townsend's, he's good, but I really like Hinch a lot better. And Buxton has done a great job of leading that group. So from that standpoint, I'll give Fox credit.
I think Kevin Lee should have been the guy. I just don't understand why Kevin Lee's not the guy. He's clearly the most passionate about IndyCar there. I don't understand why he's not the play-by-play guy. But I think Buxton is a C- guy. I don't hear it at all. I don't get it. I didn't love Diffie either, especially when Kevin Lee is such a great option.
Yeah, now that's true. I was not a Lee Diffie fan. I'll give that. So that means Buxton's better. But but Fox, that was a blunder. That was another blunder.
Here's something else we need to talk to about, but let me get to the results before we talk about it, and that is how much the top drivers have really struggled. I mean, the guys that we think of top drivers, and I'll mention that as we go through it. Of course, Kyle Kirkwood won his second race of the year, beating Santino Ferrucci fairly comfortably after a late restart. Colton Herta was third, then Will Power, Kiffin Simpson from Ganassi. Ganassi has had a good year. Marcus Armstrong was sixth. Pato O'Ward did come back and finish seventh. Christian Lundgaard was eighth. Joseph Newgarden, pretty good result for the weekend they had, with a ninth. And Alexander Rossi was 10th. Then Scott Dixon, McLaughlin, Erickson, David Malukas, Stingray Robb, Schwartzman, Connor Daly, the official driver of the Central Indiana Sports Report, was 17th. Jacob Abel from Louisville was 18th. Then Nolan Siegel had an interesting weekend. Graham Rahal started 5th and finished 20th. Then Felix Rosenquist, Louis Foster, who had a bad accident, lost something went wrong in his wheel area and could not stop himself and ran over Felix Rosenquist, who it looks like maybe has a broken leg. Devlin DeFrancesco was 23rd. Rasmussen 24th, Palou 25th after he was punted into the wall, and then Callum Ilott and Rinus VK. Yeah, really, especially the Penske guys, but also a lot of the McLaren teams have really struggled. Pato is near the top of the standings, but has not performed what we expected of him. Dixon hasn't been great this year. McLaughlin not had a good year at all. And, it's been a strange season, and it's really weird that there's only been 2 winners of races this year when the fields have been so competitive.
That's true. I will say, and Pato had a good finish today, considering he started in 18th. But like I said, he had gotten himself up there. He was on the softer tire, and I was thinking, get in and change. But that's all hindsight. But you're right. I like the mix. I like the mix. I like these guys that we think of that are not supposed to be there, but they're there. They're drivers. They're good drivers.
This could just be one of those years where you just have a couple guys that are in really good grooves and doing well, and are connected with really well connected with their race teams and crew chiefs and everything. And I don't know. I would expect Palou to bounce back. And I think Kirkwood has raced well all year. I would imagine I can see him staying there. These guys, both of the race car drivers and their crew chiefs and everything, they just seem to have things figured out. I know Palou did not finish today, but like you said, Gary, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't an error on his part or his crew's.
No, he had he qualified well. He was 5th to start. But it was one of those races, I think, too. He was content to realize, hey, I don't have a winning car today. Let's just hang in here and get a top 5, 6, 7 finish. And of course, that's when he got booted into the wall.
I like the fact that he was smart today. It's like he didn't try to overdrive or anything, like you said, David. I think he realized he didn't have a car that could really challenge at the end. It might just, if he was going to get a podium finish, it was just going to be on racing smart and strategy, things falling right.
So now we move to an oval in a couple of weeks in Madison, Illinois, a suburb of St. Louis, which is always a very fun race to watch. And that's a night race on a Sunday night on June 15th. And probably Palou could crash out of the next 4 races and still be leading the points. So, and that's the truth. He is so far out ahead of everybody. And Kirkwood finished 8th at the 500 and was moved back to 31st. And he's still in 2nd place, even though the Indy 500 gives double points. Quite an impressive year for him. And it's the other 2 drivers at Andretti have struggled quite a bit.
They have. And Andretti had. I think the whole team really has struggled except for Kirkwood.
It absolutely has. Well, and then, of course, Ericsson last week getting penalized as well And then we'll go to Road America and then Mid-Ohio, like you said, Dave, pretty much every 2 weeks now. And then the ovals in Iowa. It's a doubleheader again this year, a Saturday, Sunday. Then Toronto, Monterey, California, Portland. And then, I don't know why, Dave, you probably feel like I do, maybe even Michelle too. Let's just get Milwaukee back to the race after Indy.
Yes, I'm 100% with you on that one.
Yeah,
I agree too.
That was a tradition. It was a great tradition. It was the 2 greatest tracks maybe in the country. Of course, Milwaukee was the first. The Milwaukee Mile was the first racetrack in the United States to have racing. So that still exists today. Began in 1903, where the Indy 500 began in 1909. So those 2, having them back to back was always a really cool thing. And at least they're back in Milwaukee. Having them off the schedule was a tragedy.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I really look forward to the Oval. I really look forward to both St. Louis and also Iowa. Iowa's always a great race.
And I love that St. Louis race as well. I love short, flatter tracks that are short. Really, driver skill comes into play a lot. Of course, that one always, as an oval, benefits the experienced drivers with tires and strategies and staying out of trouble on the small ovals. So looking forward to that one. Again, that's June 15th at 8 o'clock, a Sunday night. That's going to be very cool.
Looking forward to it.
Final thoughts, Michelle?
I really kind of thought today's race, it had a lot of accidents and everything, but I kind of thought it was maybe a little anticlimactic after the Indy 500. But I'm like you, Greg. I wish Milwaukee would be right after Indy. I think you spend so much time the month of May working on a long, 2.5 mile oval, getting your cars trained, your systems in, and then you go back. Now you go to Detroit for a road race, and I know a lot of IndyCar is that. So then you have that adjustment coming back. I just liked Milwaukee. I liked the Milwaukee Mile afterwards. I thought that you just kind of carried over a little bit of that, but
yeah, that's right.
A great congratulations to Kirkwood and Andretti Global Racing. It will be interesting to see how things do play out. I think, especially for the for the Penske team in the next couple of weeks, to see after all these changes, to see if they can become more competitive. And I know that's real strange to say for Penske to be more competitive, because what they're doing right now is there are a lot of race car drivers, other than the penalties, would say, hey, we like that consistency, but that's not Penske Racing. Penske Racing is competing for wins and championships.
And before we get to Dave's final thoughts on today's Detroit Grand Prix, I want to say, first of all, that the series needs more ovals, and second of all, that it's becoming obvious, Dave, that David Malukas will be the next Penske driver, right?
I think that's going to be the case. But until then, my final thoughts are I have become a Foyt fan because Ferrucci and Malukas and Larry Foyt are just having a fantastic year. Keep it rolling. As far as your comment about Milwaukee, 100% agree. As far as the ovals, bring back Kentucky. Bring back the
Michigan.
Kentucky Raceway. Bring back Michigan. And I really look forward to the last race of the year. I hope the point is up for grabs when they get to Lebanon, Tennessee for that oval, because that is just a fantastic venue. But I look forward to it.
And you'll be there, right?
I plan to be there.
Dave, Michelle, thank you so much. And Heather as well for being with us. And we'll talk to Heather next time. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to watch much of the race, so she didn't feel comfortable joining us. But we will talk to her again next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks once again to Dave Chanley and Michelle Garmon, two of my favorites. And again, we will talk to Heather Apt following the next race in a couple of weeks. And thank you for listening. If you want to help us continue to grow and thrive, please do us a huge favor and share these podcasts with your friends and family. And as producer Susie says, even your enemies. We humbly thank you in advance. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie. I love you, Susie.
You too, Greg.